Hey, good morning, class, and welcome back to Financial Literacy 101. It is Friday, which means it is class day. So, I have to put my disclaimer out there. Remember, we will not ask you for any money. Me, Wad, does not want your money. I just want you to get some good education so that you can spend your money better. So, if you are at the point you've been working with us on this emergency savings plan and you've got money that you want to invest, my recommendation here is to go and meet face to face whoever it is you're going to be investing your money with. Tons of financial advisors out there that can help you and guide you and help you earn more money. That's not me. That's not somebody on the internet. So please, 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 if you've got money, don't give it to somebody over the internet. Make sure that you're finding a reputable advisory firm, individual recommendation from you. Remember GICs, good idea coaches. That's my disclaimer. But as for today's class, here's what I'm recommending that we do. We need to do a quick summary of credit card debt. So we'll talk about the two methods, the avalanche method and the debt method. I'm going to come back to that. The avalanche method and the snowball method. I'm going to come back to that. I also want to talk about credit score and what actually goes into that and how important it is and things that you can do and can control to make sure that you've got a decent credit score. And the other thing I've been thinking about in this class, I want to make sure you got your journal out when we do that, because I want you to be writing down those key factors and that make up your credit score. The other thing I've been wondering, so this is class and we've been going on since late January. One of the cool things about being a professor is I thought there was a spring break. So would somebody please tell me, when is spring break and where do I get to go? Oh, just remembered. I don't have money to go anywhere this spring break. So I'm going to continue to be disciplined, accountable, and patient and track my expenses. So let's jump right into it. The last time we were talking about credit and getting out of debt. And so in order for us to do this, we need to list out all of the credit cards, all of the debt that we have, and and here's the deal. I don't want you to just name it, credit card company, whatever it is. I want you to look at that credit card statement and name it what it was, right? And so maybe this will kind of help you a little bit. I want you to call it feeling lonely, so I went out and bought this. Got left out, so I went out and bought that. Was depressed, so I went out and did this. What were these things that you put on this credit card that you didn't necessarily need? So take a look at them, because it was probably 30 days ago, 60 days ago, 90 days ago, but you had to have it. And when you go back and you take a look at it, we're going to make better decisions. Remember, there's no shame, there's no judgment. This is life's work, and this is about making really good financial decisions. So if you've got your credit card statement handy, I want you to list out who it is that you owe, how much that you owe, what's the monthly minimum payment, and we're going to start getting some of that credit reduced. There's two different ways that we can do this. So we can do it what I like to call the avalanche method. And let's make sure you understand, these are not new Thurman, Professor Brooks terms. These are simply things that I've learned and that I'm passing on and sharing with you. So this avalanche method, I like to say, grab your credit cards, look at the one with the highest interest rate. That's the one that we're going to pay on first. Now, why have I chosen this one? So in this case, you're actually going to get the greatest savings because it has the highest interest rate, and you're going to be reducing that balance. So there's going to be less balance on that rate. Does that make sense? Sit with that for just a moment. Highest interest rate, therefore we're going to start paying down on that card, so therefore the balance on that card will be less, therefore we'll be getting charged less interest. Makes sense. So that's the first method. The second method, which I actually kind of like, I feel like I get more momentum by doing the snowball method, in which case then you actually start listing them, same credit cards out, remember, and we're calling them what they were. We're calling them had to have, in my case, some golf clubs that I didn't necessarily really need, had to have some basketball tickets that I didn't necessarily really need. And so I put them on the credit card and didn't pay them off, whatever it is for you. So I like to then take these credit cards, list them all. I'll start with the one that has the smallest balance on it first. Continually, remember, we're always making our minimum payments because we want to make sure that we're keeping our credit score up, right? So start with the one that has the lowest balance first, and make that payment. And then once that credit card's gone, then you're going to use that money and pay on the next credit card. So you're going to be kind of doubling up. And the reason I like to see this is 'cause, like, quickly one of them goes away. So if you got a card that only has $250 on it, whatever your amounts are, the minimum payment's $18. You pay the $18, it's gone. That $18 plus whatever you've been paying on these minimums is going to go, and so we're going to start to see this debt being reduced over a period of time. You can actually go out and calculate, if you do understand the numbers a little bit better, exactly how long it will be before these credit card debt is gone. What I do need you to do is make sure that you are making the minimum payments on the other ones. But if you have the capacity, let's start making more the minimum payment. If we continue to make those minimum payments, I think it actually shows your statement, you're going to be paying on this stuff forever. And this is not what we want to do. Once we get rid of some of this credit card debt, you will be amazed at the financial that you feel for not having, that you will feel by not having that. So, those are the two methods we wanted to talk about today, which were the avalanche method, highest interest first, or the snowball method, lowest balance first. Got it? Good. Pausing. Write that down. Now we're going to move into your credit report. I've got some notes here I want to just make sure that I bring up. So there are different credit rating agencies. The top three are Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, right? And so basically anything that you spend is going into this huge database, right? And they're putting in like credit card at this store, credit card at that store, home mortgage interest, car loan. And then they're taking a look, did you pay? Did you pay on time? And they're taking into consideration a whole bunch of different factors. So grab your journal, and I want to talk about kind of what my research has shown, the factors that go into impacting your credit score. And the reason you need to know this is because you can kind of control this a little bit by making sure that you're being diligent on your credit card debt. So first thing is your payment history. And my records, my indication research shows about 35% of that goes into impacting your credit score. The other thing I want to say, hold on, before I get there, I want to step back here. Just remember, credit scores range someplace between 300 and 850, with 670 or so being considered a really good credit score. So that's kind of the target that you're shooting for. If somebody tells you they've got a credit score of 1,000, I'm just going to tell you this, I think they're lying, because it doesn't go that high. It only goes up to 850. So anyway, trying to keep it around 670 or better, which is considered a good credit score. And why is a good credit score important? If you go to get a car loan, a home loan, the better your credit, the lower the interest rate that you're going to have to pay. That's a generality, that's not a specific, but that's generally kind of how it works. So I wanted to make sure that I talked about that. The other thing that you want to make sure that you are doing when we're talking about credit is back to the credit scores. So first thing is payment history will have an impact, about 35%. So making sure that you're making those payments on time. Don't be a day late. I know. I've been there, that you're like, hey, I don't get paid until Thursday, the payment's due. Maybe we have to make some different choices, but we got to make sure that you're making those payments on time. The other thing that goes into consideration in terms of your credit score is it's about 30%, and it's how much do you owe. If you have a job making $25,000 and then you owe $10,000 in credit card debt, bad. If you owe $10,000, bad, because right now what they're saying is that you have more debt out there than you have the ability to pay. So that's going to impact your credit score, and that's about 30%. So those two things alone, making sure that you make your payments on time and making sure that you don't have more debt out there than you can really afford, are 65% of what's going on out there in terms of impacting your credit score. The next area that's really impacting your credit score is the length of your credit history. So how long have you been doing it? So we talked a little bit about this when we were talking about credit cards in general. So credit cards are not bad. It's a great way to build a credit history, but you got to make sure that you're using them for what the purpose is. Use it to purchase something, and then once you've purchased it, pay it off. 100%. You're not interested in the minimum payments. If you're putting something on a credit card that you can't afford and it's not a need, you may want to consider what you're buying and why you're buying, and maybe you need to fulfill a different gap or a different void, but don't go put it on some credit card if you can't afford it. I like to use a credit card if you're traveling, right? Put your airline ticket, your hotel ticket, whatever it is on there. when you get home, I literally will go home, and when I come back from the trip, transfer the money from my checking account to my credit card to make sure that I'm carrying zero balances in terms of credit card debt and not accumulating that interest. I'm getting better at it. I haven't always been able to do it. So no matter where you are in your journey, remember, this is life work, no judgment. We're making baby steps so that we can become financially independent and have a peace and comfort with our finances. The other thing is the impacting your credit score at about 10% is what we call new credit. So I don't know if you've ever been in any department store, the mall, the airport, and the people are coming up to you, hey, come over here, come over here. You know, if you sign up today, you get a credit card at 0% interest in this, that, and the other. That also impacts your credit score. So remember, do you need it? Yes, we probably do need what I like to call an emergency credit card, one that you keep out there when we haven't established our emergency fund yet. That we can, kind of say, get out of jail free card type of thing. So you want to do that. And then the final thing that's impacting your credit score is a credit mix. Is it credit card debt? Is it home mortgage? Is it a car loan? All of these things go into the calculation in terms of what's going to actually make up your credit score. So think about that when you're looking in terms of, getting credit. Remember the areas that I just talked about. Payment history, 35%. Amount you owe, about 30%. The length of your credit history, 15%. New credit, 10%. And the credit mix, 10%. So those are the things that go into making the calculation for your credit history. One of the things we also want to talk about is making sure that you understand that you can go and get your credit report generally from these agencies, or if you have a bank, I think they offer them free. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that that's the case. Your credit score is not static. So we're going to talk about static versus dynamic. What does static mean? It's like, oh, this is my credit score, and that's what it's always going to be. You actually can impact that. If you have debt and you're paying it off, you're likely to see your credit score grow up. If you are incurring more and more debt, even if we call it good debt, mortgage, car, things that you absolutely need, it's possible that your credit score can go down. So it's constantly moving. It's not static. It's what we like to call dynamic, depending upon what's actually going on with your financial life. The other thing I want to make sure that, and I shared this with you earlier, that there's no single factor that's impacting your credit score. It's all of those things that are going into the calculation. So you can't say, oh, I've only missed one payment. How come my credit score isn't this? Because it's a combination of a whole bunch of stuff that kind of goes into it. So take a look, understand where your credit is. Like I said, we're trying to target 670 or better. The higher the credit score, the better, as in terms of you being able to borrow and do other types of things in terms of your financial freedom. So that hits on how we get out of credit card debt, if you've done it. So remember, we talked about the avalanche method and the snowball method. We've also talked about the what impacts your credit score and how important that is. So until we get together again, hopefully after spring break, I'm not going anywhere, so I'll probably be creating some more lectures. So what I'd love to hear from you, so that we can keep this class fresh and giving you information, is what's on your mind. What do you want me to talk about? What do you want to know? What are those questions that are out there? Of course, I can't get to all of them, but we will try and group them and make sure that this is beneficial for all of us. So want to let you guys know something. You're keeping me accountable by following along and asking questions. So until we get together again, remember to be disciplined, accountable, and patient. My intention as we get to moving into the month of April is to start using all of this data that we've collected, that I know you've been tracking, and I'm going to start grouping them into categories so that we can create a really good spending plan. I'd like to kick off April through the rest of the year with a spending plan that is dynamic, that we can live with, that we can adjust, and we can truly understand where our money's going. Until then, be disciplined, accountable, and patient.